Alright, what's up guys? Today I'll be showing you some basic stuff on how to make a mission. Not every single step like on how to make objectives, but how to set up the framework, the base, and like things like respawn, other attributes, other settings, to make sure your mission's consistent and mission works. People can respawn. People have a respawn position, slots work, and all that other stuff, and performance a bit too. Basically, useful stuff that makes it so that your mission works, like all your missions work the same way every time, without any struggle to have to re-upload the mission with different changes because you forgot something basic. Because you spent 99% of the time on Eden and never actually tested it. So yeah, this should avoid a lot of those little mistakes that makes it so that you have to cancel a mission because no one can upload your mission file again or stuff like that. So first thing I usually do, just scenario and go to new. This, just choose whatever map. I'll choose this one here, Blood Gulch. Now that you're here, you will start by doing save as, and you can go to whatever. I go to MP missions. I have subfolders in there that I created, but just MP mission works, and just call it something like Operation Test, right? Once you've done that, now you have your mission saved, right? And if you go to MP missions in your documents, so documents, other profiles, see the whatever profile you have loaded for Eden, and MP missions, you'll be able to see here that your mission is there. And this is your root file for your, root folder for your mission. This mission.sum file basically has all the information about your mission. I usually try to avoid changing it or anything like that because, unless you know what you're doing, you're probably going to break something. What you edit that file with is the actual Eden editor, which is great. So now that we've done that, I usually move on to actually, checking the attributes. So if we go to attributes general, just go here entitled Operation Test. Here you can just paste that here, uncheck this box, paste this here, paste this here. I usually uncheck enable saving. We don't care about this. This here you can set it to whatever you want. Basically sets the allegiance of green 4, the green side, or whatever you call it. You can check this if you want. I usually don't because otherwise people can't edit your mission file afterwards because they have a local copy because they get sent the mission file when they join the mission. I prefer to keep this off. I check this because it's useful for Zeus. Check this because I don't want people to cheat by automatic spotting from Arma 3. If you want a briefing, you can set it up. I usually don't make one. As for other things like here, intro text, I usually just set a delay, like 80 seconds. Keep the things that I already put down, like the name of the mission, your name, and just take this format because it's prettier. Basically like credits for your mission at the start. Next we can go to multiplayer, and we can go to here again, game type. I usually choose Zeus because I'm gonna Zeus the mission. Put whatever max player slot you want. I usually go with 60. Your server, if you have a server and you put it on, it'll override some of these settings like max players. Here, enable AI. Make sure you uncheck this because otherwise all the playable units you set will have AI with them, which makes it so they can actually like move in game without any players being in the slot, which we don't want. For respawn, this is pretty important. Respawn on custom position. I just go and select that, and let's see. Once you have that, you can check this box. Select respawn position so that you can select if you have multiple positions. You can just choose whichever one. Also, usually don't check this. I don't, but you can if you know how to set up respawn loadouts. Just look it up. If you don't, on Arma documentation, it's pretty simple. Here for respawn delay, I put 5 seconds. You can leave all this as is, and I check save loadout, which saves basically if you have Eden enhanced. It's a mod. If you check this, it'll save the loadout they had before they died. It's pretty useful if they have, like, if you use task force radio, it'll save their radio settings sometimes. It's not really consistent. Next thing would be to save. Do Control S. Save your mission. I save it every 30 seconds, honestly, when I make actual missions. Here, Performance tab is the next one. What we're gonna do is basically we are going to well, check this, make sure this is checked. It is by default, but basically this is dynamic simulation, which is pretty useful because it allows you to save a lot of resources on the server and the client. I also put this at 1.5 just for you can look at all these settings and what they do, but I just set these to that. Basically what dynamic simulation does is, let's say I have a op for a group of AI units, right? If I double click the group icon and then go to enable dynamic simulation, basically this will make it so that if, let's say, there's a player nearby, like here, it will dynamically simulate. So let's say my player is far away. These units will not be simulated, and it will save a lot of resources on the server. But if, say, my player gets real close, well, closer. Like if we check the settings here, based on what I put, well, the game put by default, 500 meters. So if a player that can activate the dynamic simulation is within 500 meters of a character or a group, that group will be dynamically simulated and will use full resources as it usually does. But if they're further than that, they won't, because there's no player to like activate the dynamic simulation. This is just really useful stuff. I usually put it on all my units except like maybe AA, like, you know, AA turrets, AA vehicles, or artillery, because I want those to be usable at all times by me or the AI. But for most units, I just put that on. You can also put it on objects. I usually don't, though. Let's say I have this object here. I mean, you could just go enable dynamic simulation, but the thing is with Arma, if you have too many of those, it actually slows down the process a lot. And well, that's what they say on their documentation, at least, is that you shouldn't have too many units with this enabled. So I usually keep the objects down and just put all my actual, like, for op4 units dynamically simulated. For objects, what I do is I just uncheck this. If the object doesn't need to be destroyed, I uncheck enable simulation, and I check simple objects for most of them. Unless it's like a building with doors, then don't do that, because the doors won't work. But this will save some resources as much as possible from the object, which is pretty nice. So that lets you put more stuff down, usually. As for the rest, the other settings you might want to change are the add-on options here. Here you can go to server. I usually just load a preset that I have. You can set those manually if you want. It takes forever depending on how many mods you have, though. And also depending on the server, server sometimes will just override those, or most of the times, at least for us in my unit. So you want to inform yourself on that, because you don't want to waste your time with 100 lines of settings that won't matter in the end. Now let's move on, now that we've done the add-on settings, to the actual, you know, slots. Pretty simple. Here I usually just check playable and check player. And we can go to role description and give it a name for the role. So let's just soldier. Soldier, yeah. And here for the group leader, so let's say I have multiple units in the group. I only need to do this for group leader, but I can do this for all of them too. Let's do @ and you can put the name of the group like squad alpha, let's say. And it'll give the name, the role, like the playable unit slot, a role name, and the squad will have an actual name that you set yourself, which is pretty nice for the player, so they know which slot to load into. Next thing we're gonna do is Game Master module. If here you can put the owner as Z1, this will be the variable name of the unit you want to have the Zeus module assigned to. And here on my unit slot, here, or double click this, variable name Z1. This will give this unit Zeus, which is nice. Next thing we can do is a respawn position. Now Arma allows you to put modules down for this. I prefer to do it with a marker. So if you go to F6 and tab markers and go to empty, I just put an empty marker because it's better. It doesn't show on map. Or you can just put the variable name as respawn _ west for blue 4, east for op 4, and this will basically tell the game that this position is a respawn position that players can use to respawn. You know, useful stuff, right? Now that we have all that set, we can actually play the mission for a sec and see if it actually works. So here we got our squad name, Squad Alpha, and our role name, Soldier, which means that worked. Now if we load in, you can see there's different things that unnamed mission. I'm pretty sure we said that right. I'm going to show you how to force it to work, because sometimes it doesn't. This is basically in the files of the mission. I'll show you that in a second. But here we see the respawn position works. But we are respawning automatically when we load in, which we might not want. I'll show you that, how to do that too, in the same file. So if we respawn, you'll see we are at the respawn position. If I do my Zeus key, we have access to Zeus, which is great. I can spawn stuff. Yay. So I got a control button, right? So this works. That's nice. Now what I usually do is I go into files here, files. I'll copy this from another mission just for fun. Here, description.ext. This is a pretty well-known file, and if you check the Arma 3 documentation, you can check a bunch of different things you can declare in it that are pretty useful for the mission. Here we're gonna remove a bunch of stuff that we aren't gonna use. And once you're here, actually we're gonna keep one part of it. Once you're here, you can set here the authors, put your name, onload mission name or whatever, operation test. This this will override the unnamed mission we saw in the load in. Here, onload mission, this is basically a message under the whatever image you put down. It's like a little image that you can have and you can put a message under it. I just usually put funny stuff. We'll just remove it for now. And here, respawn on start. This will, if you put at -1, this will make it so that players actually spawn in where the playable unit slot was placed down in Eden, which is useful. So I usually just do that, put that down. And here we have all of this. This is basically, you know, the fortify tool in Arma 3. If you have that mod for Ace, I think. If you go to systems and go to fortify and put that down, you can you'll see that you can this will basically look for parameters for the mission, like description.ext, and we'll use this for different settings. I usually keep this in the description.ext file, which will specify different things the player can build, how much time it takes, and what it's considered as. I guess because there's categories. I don't really use the tool, honestly. But yeah, just put that down and put this in your description.ext file, which was located at the root of your mission file, remember? Once you've done all that, you're pretty much good to go to build your mission. Make sure you test it every so often, because sometimes you can delete stuff by accident, which is, you know, great. And yeah, I hope this was useful. Or I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'll make a subsequent video. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope it was useful.